Good evening and welcome. It looks like we have standing room only. There's an occasional chair in here, so feel free to squeeze unless you're trying to do pictures. We've got several seats on this side of the house as well. We are recording tonight's concert, so we're hoping that all the music is just ours instead of maybe some of your really cool ringtones, but we'd like it to just be our ringtones. The students will be watching this concert later. There has been enormous progress this year with both the beginning and the intermediate classes, and I think you're going to be pretty amazed at what they're sounding like. And I'm going to say particularly for beginners, because there's a huge leap. If you can remember back to the Twinkles, yes, clear back to those days in October concert, and then in the December concert where they could play Jingle Bells and a few other tunes, but everything was unison, except we did two parts with Twinkle. So now we have 4 parts going on, in some cases 5 parts. So this is like a real orchestra, and what a transformation. So big step, we have 3, 4, and 5 parts going on. Our first selection is particularly challenging for younger students because, for first year players I should say, it's got multiple rhythms simultaneously and a lot of moving eighth notes. You may not know what that means, but that's okay, they're faster notes. So I think they really like this piece because it's the first one that we played where they could hear themselves fall in love with that rich, full sound of strings like an orchestra with all the harmonies. This is Airborne Heroes. Our second selection is challenging because of the dynamic contrast, and that's a challenging thing for younger students to play as they're getting their music ready. They're going to be probably recalling when we played a Find the Rosin game. Those of you on stage remember when we did that? Find the Rosin, where we hid a rosin someplace in the room. Somebody hid a rosin, and somebody else came back in their classroom and tried to find it, but the only hint we could give them was by how loud or soft we were playing. So as they got really close to it, we were playing ferociously loud, and if they turned away from it, we got really soft. So that was one way to learn how to play dynamics, changing the dynamics, and it also has a lot of beautiful tone in this piece. March International. I'm going to take a few minutes to talk with the beginner parents. You are beginners, they are, the parents of the beginners. Next year, as we are thinking about orchestra, a lot of times people try to go ahead and get an instrument in the summer, so I wanted to give you a few guidelines on that. There's a lot of information on the back table. If you didn't help yourself, feel free to go there after the concert and take anything that you'd like. The beginning violinists who are already using a full size or will be ready, and I'll measure them at the end of the year because some of them have grown enormously and they may be ready. Those students need to get their own instrument for next year. You can get that just before the school year starts, or you can wait a week into the school year, maybe 2 at the longest, but we do start working on instruments on day number 2. So if you want to get an instrument ahead of time, that would be possibly an easier thing for you to manage. If your student is on free or reduced lunch, there is a special program where the school district, not the school district, there's an organization in Collier County where you can apply to get an instrument. And everybody that applies doesn't get accepted. Most of the Pine Ridge students that apply get accepted. So count on us being able to help you out in some way or another. And you do have a little longer time to work on that. There's some flyers from Cadence Music, and that's a really good music store. They're in Fort Myers, but there's no need to travel up there unless you really want to. They deliver things to our school every week. They come on Tuesdays. So if you order an instrument online, they'll just bring it here, and it'll be sitting here waiting for your son or daughter when they get to class. So they come by every week. And I urge cello students to have an instrument of their own at home, so you could rent one of those, and then they'll have the school one, unless you prefer and can work out the parent pickup, and many of you have been doing that, but if that's a hardship, then renting a cello. For viola players, unless they're in a 15-inch or larger, there's no need to get one. Well, I've always had plenty of violas. I have a lot of instruments back there. They're for the beginners or for the smaller students who have not yet grown into the bigger size. Basses, I have 2 basses for everybody in the bass section. One for home, one for school, no charge for any of that. So they can just take one home at the beginning of the year. We can sign those out. Again, and the same with cellos. There's no cost from the school district to use a cello or a bass all the way through high school graduation. So if you have questions, please don't hesitate to email me or call me as you're in the process. I do encourage you to please, 17 more pleases, avoid eBay, avoid Amazon, and avoid Craigslist. Those instruments are not playable. They look great, shiny new instrument. The kid walks into the class with it, and I can't even tune it. They can't play at all. They're not set up right, and you can't tell that online. They will tell you all sorts of things online to get you to buy it. If it's $100, count on it not being worthy of your money. My policy is if you can't return it, you don't want to get it. I've gone to pawn shops and helped people find things there, although I haven't found things usually much better than in some discount places. So Cadence Music is a good place, and there's 2 other string places, Shar Music and my brain stopped. What's the name of the other store back there? Southwest Strings. And they have nothing but string instruments. It's not a band store, it's not a piano store, it's not a guitar store. There you could order something and have it shipped to your house. I would encourage you not to get the bottom line instrument, because the ones that they're currently using are already 2nd and 3rd and 4th level up instruments as beginners. Collier County doesn't provide bottom line beginner instruments for your students. They're already on usually the 3rd rung. So you want them to have something at least as nice as what they're playing right now, and possibly even better to last them for several years. So these are available to rent or to purchase according to your choice, and in almost all cases, at least a portion of the rent goes toward the purchase. So it's not a terribly expensive thing. So let me know if you need any help with any of that. I appreciate it. You should have it by the first week of school, if possible. All right. I've got a whole bunch of other things related to that, but just avoid those factory rejects. That's what those eBay instruments are, etc. Our next selection starts out pizzicato, which is the Italian musical term for plucking. And then everybody gets the melody someplace in the piece. And then we switch to arco, which is the word for using your bow. So wait till we've finished the part with their bow, because there's a little break in the middle. It's not time to applaud yet. This is Ginger Snaps. I think that's the fastest we've played it, and they just really stayed together. Give them another hand. Congratulations. The next announcement is also directed to all orchestra parents. If your son or daughter is not taking private lessons, summer is a great time to start. I started the very first summer after I played for a year at school, and finding a private teacher is an individual choice and decision. There's a list of private teachers. You can call and find out what their rates are, where they do their lessons, some in a music studio, some in their houses, and various places. I've also extended the invitation to the students in the concert orchestra if they're interested in earning a small amount of cash, if any of them are interested in teaching beginners private lessons, to make it a lot more affordable for those that can't shell out some of the bigger bucks for some of the top professional. We have a lot of really good professional teachers in the area, but that's a great chance for them to better their skills and open many, many doors coming up down the road. I can't tell you all the opportunities that happened just because I started taking private lessons and was able to increase my skill level immensely. So check on the sheets. Will everybody who takes private lessons stand up? I have a few in the beginners and several on stage. If you take private lessons, would you please stand up? Give them a hand. Those are leaders. Those become the strongest players. And another opportunity this summer is the summer music camp. There's applications on the back, and you can send those in to me. I'm doing it a little differently this year, because your son or daughter can borrow a school instrument. If they're using a school instrument, you can borrow a school instrument if and only if they're taking either or private lessons or music camp. So if they sign up for the music camp, I get their application, then I know they're signed up, then I can sign out an instrument for them for the summer. Either the same size or larger if they're ready for that. And they can keep it the whole summer, because there's nobody here to take the instrument back after the camp's over. But they can only take the instrument home for the summer if they're in camp or in private lessons. So another great opportunity. There's one that meets right here in town for 2 weeks right after school gets out, and they're half days, so usually the biggest obstacle is transportation, but it's very, very inexpensive. You know that $5 footlong you hear about from Subway? I think they went up to $6, did they now? Well, our price didn't go up. It's been $150 for a 2-week camp for several years now, so it's very inexpensive, and it's taught by some really excellent orchestra teachers in the area. One of them being Roland Forte, who's left the area and is coming back to teach. The students really love it. It's designed for students who have finished their first or second or third year. And there's 2 levels of orchestras. So the beginners who jump in there are like, wow, playing music that's harder than they think they're ready for, but they expand their playing skills immensely, and they always want to go back next year. So the next piece includes 5 different musical parts. And I think this is their favorite one. Usually when we get to this, I hear a lot of yes. And this is in a minor key. This is the final piece for the beginners, Attack. The intermediate orchestra's first piece has a lot of challenging bow work. This is Allegro Gustoso. We'd like to take a moment to recognize all of the students in the intermediate orchestra who participated in the Solo and Ensemble Festival back in November. And they did very, very well. This was held at FGCU, and this is something beginners that you can do starting next year. We had a few of these students participating. It's open to anyone. And we had a large number of the concert orchestra students participating, and we'd like to give them a special congratulations. Would you please stand as your name is called and remain standing? We'll applaud when the whole group is finished. So participants, these all earned a superior rating, which is the top level they can get, and also with straight A's, which is the top way that you get in there. Kakomi Kemp, Angie Ankmab on their violin duet, Anya Joshi, and Brooke Milliken on their violin viola duet. Would you please give them a hand? Congratulations. So they will all receive a special pin. We'll take care of that in orchestra class. Save us some time this evening. So they will get a pin that says solo if they played a solo, and it'll say ensemble. And they can earn one of these each year. So next year's 7th and 8th graders, plus those going on to high school, can look forward to another event, the Collier County solo, not only the solo and ensemble, but the honors orchestra. And this is a special group of students that have auditioned from the entire county in all the schools. We hold the auditions here at Pine Ridge, but all the middle school and high school students come here for the auditions. And we had this year, out of the 42 students that were chosen for the middle school level, 10 of them came from Pine Ridge. They were all from the concert orchestra, but yes, you can see where they're going. Absolutely. That's typical for us to have that level of representation. So next year, when you're in the concert orchestra, and some of you in the beginners, intermediates are eligible to try out as well. So that's another exciting thing to look forward to. Next, a selection was inspired by looking for dinosaur bones. I'm not sure where I'd go to look for that, but people are still finding those. And it's got visions of prehistoric creatures that roamed the planet before us. This is Dinosaur Dig. I'd like to take a moment to encourage students who are looking for more opportunities, a particular challenge on their instrument. It's a little bit big of a challenge for the beginners, but that's something that they can look forward to. You can check online at Artist Naples. We have 2 phenomenal youth orchestras right over here around the corner held at Artist Naples. There's a group called Symphonia and another group called the Youth Orchestra, the Top Youth Orchestra, which is typically for high school level students. However, we do have an 8th grader who's in that group. So particularly advanced students can make it into the extremely advanced group. It's a chance to really expand their musical abilities with other students from around town. It's held throughout the year. So these students really go above and beyond. There's a special audition for that, so just keep practicing and you get a lot of chances to do some things. Going to another level, I'm going to show you a plaque. We have 3 plaques in our room. One of them is full, and this one is representing the last 4 years where we've had 1 student, and some years I've had as many as 3 students make it into the All-State Orchestra. The All-State Orchestra is held in Tampa in January. The auditions are in September. So if your son or daughter is interested in being in the All-State Orchestra, as soon as I get that material within a few days, they need to start working on it because there are students competing, hundreds of students from the entire state, and they only choose 70 musicians. They're the top middle school musicians, and then there's 2 high school level groups. But we've had somebody every year from Pine Ridge, every year that I've been here since 2006, and students before that. So keep practicing. There's some wonderful, wonderful opportunities ahead. Our next selection is a really fun piece that's a 12-bar blues pattern and swinging 8 notes. This is Tumbleweed Blues. We've been recognizing the students all evening, and now we'd like to take a moment to recognize the parents. You are such an integral part in your son or daughter's development. You may not play an instrument. My parents did not. They came to concerts and they didn't know hardly anything that was going on. Just somebody sat nicely and somebody bowed the same way as somebody else and so forth. And you may be in that same boat. But what you do is through your encouragement, providing a place for them to practice, providing whatever things that they need, providing transportation, and just the pats on the back. And tonight is a lot about pats on the back, and they can feel the difference that you understand. So this is an amazing thing. We're going to take a moment, students, and give our parents an applause with an orchestra stomp. Watch out for your instruments. Thank you. You really matter so much. There's a few people I'd like to recognize separately, and I'm going to have to try to make my way over through here between the chairs and the lovely plants. Thank you for all these gorgeous plants you've donated. Can you just go to front? Thanks. Keep going. Keep going. Hey, I'm wearing shoes. Hallelujah. Some of you may not know what I'm talking about. I had foot surgery, and I have a shoe on finally. These shoes the first time on Easter Sunday. Wow. Feels like a new person. Feels like a new person. People who've helped with as concert chaperones and driving instruments. When we go next year, we have something called MPA, Music Performance Assessment, that the intermediate and the concert orchestra students participate in. So I'd like to recognize the parents that helped us with those things. Kayomi Kemp, please stand. Saskia McPhail, Sean Milliken, Trisha Rayner, please stand up. Please stand up. Melissa Rocchio, Anjali Rusano, Michelle Unlock, Catherine Wood. Thank you. Many of you volunteered more than once. Second set, these are the people that chaperoned at MPA, which is a little larger donation of their time to help drive instruments and be with us as we perform, and it's a really special day. Ann Angstrom, Kayomi Kemp, Jennifer Lee, Saskia McPhail, come on, stand up. Anna Mejia, Ben Nicholas, Melissa Rocchio, and Kathy Willett. Thank you so much. We could not do this again without your help. They're wonderful. Fundraiser helpers. I don't even really know who all of you were because I wasn't here during a portion of that time, but I want to for anybody that helped with collecting money or helping in any way, including purchasing product. We raised almost $2,000 in profit, and I want to especially thank you, Melissa Rocchio. Where are you? She was my chairperson. We were in communication while I was out on recovery. Thank you, Melissa. There was a lot of things going on. There were a lot of things going on behind the scenes. Emails and phone calls that I was fielding in order to keep all this still going, and lots of great stuff. I would like to invite 6 really special people. You're all special, but those who have done some extraordinary things to meet me over here because I have a thank you gift. And this would be Kayomi Kemp. I'm making my way down the stairs. You're making your way over here. Jennifer Lee, Saskia McPhail, Anna Mejia, Ben Nicholas. If you're not here, I'll have to catch somebody to get this to you later. And Melissa Rocchio. Would you please come forward and join me down front? A special thank you. This is a paperweight. This is a paperweight that says Pine Ridge Middle School, and their name is engraved on it as well. you again. Appreciate it. We could not do this without our orchestra volunteers, and I appreciate every one of you. Cleanup reminders. I have 4 concerts this week. One last night, one tonight, one tomorrow night, and one on Friday morning. Lots of things going on this week. So if you volunteered to help, first of all, thank you for the beautiful flowers, and you may take those back home to enjoy on your own at your house. And for cleanup, I've got a list that explains this perhaps better than my sheet. The stage has to be totally cleared out. There's a different group that's on stage. I'm coming up behind you, hon. So all of these music stands are going to go back to the orchestra room in the side room. There's a little room right inside the door. Pack them in as tightly as you can. Oh, no, excuse me, change that. We need these for, the stands that are on stage are going to go in the back half of the room against the wall. The audience chairs are all going to stay because there's another event in here, a couple more events in here tomorrow. The chairs that are on the stage need to be stacked in the back of the room. The orchestra chairs in here need to be stacked because the custodians will need to reset them up as audience chairs, unless you're so inclined to try to do that, to set these up as 10 or 11 in a row. All these music stands need to go into various places. The ones that say PRO, really large in the middle of the stand, or the little O in the middle, those are, I think, all on this side of the orchestra. They go in the hallway just before we get to the orchestra room. There's a little door before that door. The other ones that are winger stands, this is getting confusing, I know, I have some of it posted over here. Winger stands that say winger up in the corner that does not have an extra shelf on it. Those are going to go in the stand cart that's back there close to the orchestra room. Okay, those are going to fit there. And the rest of them can all go in that little room that's right inside the orchestra room door. If you don't understand, get some help from somebody for that. So those music stands will be really helpful for you to move. So make sure the audience chairs do stay in place. And thank you for your help. We wish you a very safe, happy, and musical summer. Our final selection with the Intermediate Orchestra is one of their very favorite pieces. It's a fiery and energetic piece called Dragon Hunter. Thank you all. Thank you so much.